Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode the complex world of business with a special look at what's really going on behind the scenes of these financial reports. Get ready, because today we're diving into Chilean Cobalt Corp's latest filing, and trust me, there's a plan afoot that involves fancy new stock options and some interesting timing. Before we get into the nitty gritty, if you're all about getting clear, understandable insights into financial filings, make sure you hit that subscribe button and also join our Discord community. We've linked it down in the description below. It's a great place to discuss these reports and ask questions. Alright, let's get started. Chilean Cobalt Corp has just put out a Form 8K, which is essentially a report for major events that shareholders must know about, and today's report is all about a new equity incentive plan. It's like a roadmap for how the company plans to reward its people with company stock. So what exactly is this plan? Well, the company's board of directors first gave it the thumbs up back in July of 2025, but it needed the shareholders to approve it too. And that's exactly what happened on August 27, 2025. This new plan, called the Chilean Cobalt Corp 2025 Equity Incentive Plan, or the plan for short, allows the company to grant various types of stock awards to its officers, directors, employees, and consultants. They can give out things like stock options, which is the right to buy stock at a set price later on, stock appreciation rights, which is like a bonus based on how much the stock price goes up, restricted stock and restricted stock and restricted stock and restricted stock and restricted stock units, which are basically shares given to people under certain conditions, and other awards as well. To make all this happen, the company has set aside a total of 5 million shares of its common stock specifically for these awards. This is a pretty significant chunk, so it shows they're really looking to use this plan to motivate and retain their key players. Now, who's in charge of all this? The plan will be managed by the board of directors or a special committee. They'll decide who gets what awards, how those awards will grow or vest over time, like when someone actually gets to own them, and what the price will be to buy the stock if it's an option. It's also important to know that these stock options aren't valid forever. They have a limit of 10 years. And here's a key detail about the price. When options are granted, the price at which someone can buy the stock can't be lower than what the stock is worth on the day they get the option. This is pretty standard and helps ensure that the options are meant to reward future growth, not just a discount on current value. When it comes time to actually use these options to buy stock, the payment is usually in cash, but the plan administrator has the flexibility to allow payment in other ways too, like using other company stock they already own to pay for it. What happens if someone leaves the company before they use their options? Well, if they leave for reasons other than death or disability, they usually have a set period specified in their award agreement to exercise any options that have already vested. This means if they separate from the company, they might still have a window to take advantage of those options. One more thing about the plan's lifespan: no options can be granted under it 10 years after it was first adopted by the board or approved by the stockholders, whichever came first. Now, let's look at some of the actual awards given out under this new plan. On July 24, 2025, the board approved an award for Ash Lazenby, a director of the company. This award is for 500,000 restricted stock units or units. These units are special because they vest, meaning Mr. Lazenby will fully own them 2 years from when a consulting and advisory agreement was signed, which was July 24, 2025. So that means the vesting date is set for July 24, 2027. But here's the catch: he has to still be working with the company on that vesting date for it to happen, unless the plan administrator decides to let him have them sooner. So it's tied to continued service and good performance. Mr. Lazenby accepted this award on August 28, 2025, and just like the options, these units will expire 10 years from the date they were awarded. And going back to the shareholder approval of the overall plan, it's interesting to note that on August 27, 2025, shareholders who own 52.6 irritant of the company's common stock approved the plan through a written consent. This means they didn't need a big formal meeting, just a majority of them signed off. Finally, this report also lists the accompanying exhibits, which are the actual documents detailing the plan, the award agreement, and the shareholder consent forms. These are like the legal backbones for everything we've just discussed. So what's the big picture here? Chilean Cobalt Corp is clearly investing in its people by giving them a stake in the company's future. Through this new equity incentive plan, the award to Ash Lazenby is a concrete example of how this plan will be used, and the vesting conditions tied to continued service are a common and logical way to ensure that people are rewarded for their ongoing contribution. The fact that the shareholders overwhelmingly approve this plan shows a general agreement with this strategy. It's a move that can align the interests of employees and leadership with those of the shareholders, hoping that by making everyone feel more invested, the company as a whole will perform better. Looking at this feeling, we see a company that's making deliberate moves to incentivize its team. The 5 million shares reserved for awards are a significant commitment, and the structure of the awards, like the vesting for Mr. Lazenby's units, suggests a focus on long-term engagement and performance. It's a strategy that can be very effective in attracting and keeping top talent, especially in competitive industries, like mining, where skilled personnel are crucial. However, as with any stock-based compensation, there's always a risk if the company's stock price doesn't perform as expected. These awards might not be as valuable as anticipated, and if the company misses its targets or faces challenges, the vesting conditions could prevent people from receiving their full awards. The details in the plan also allow the board a lot of discretion, which can be both good for flexibility and a point of scrutiny for transparency. Overall, Chilean Cobalt Corp appears to be implementing a common but effective strategy to motivate its workforce and align their interests with company performance. The success of this plan will ultimately depend on the company's ability to execute its business strategy, achieve its goals, and deliver value to shareholders, making those stock awards truly rewarding. This is definitely a company to keep an eye on as this plan rolls out. Alright, that's our breakdown of Chilean Cobalt Corp's latest filing. What's your take on these new stock incentive plans and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.